Hi, I'm Mark Menendez. Thanks for joining me. Today I'll be talking about the secret techniques of the masters. You know, it's been said to know where you're going, you need to get a handle on where you've been. There's so much that we can learn from the artists of the past, techniques that we can incorporate into our own art. When I was learning under the apprenticeship of my instructor, I was brought through learning techniques of some of the greatest painters that have ever lived. So let's take a journey back in time and revisit some of the pioneers of oil painting. So in those days, paper was more dear. And so if artists made larger paintings, they would probably have to piece them together to make it. So a lot of these paintings are little small panels during the Renaissance. So now I've got the charcoal embedded all over the back of the drawing. Simply flip it over and position it. Now I don't have the full-size painting as I did on the original. I just wanted to show you a little bit of the face. So I'm just going to line this up a little bit. I'm going to take a regular pencil and I'm going to go over the drawing. Now one of the bad things about this is that the original drawing changes, it's altered. So you don't get that original soft appearance of the original Da Vinci drawing. Da Vinci did a lot of drawings. He did notebooks, and those notebooks tell us a lot about how he looked at life and art and light and shadow, science. He was born in 1452 in Vinci, and he was quite the prodigy. He knew how to draw very early age. By 1466, he was apprenticed to some of the artists of the time, but the most famous master that he studied under was Verrocchio. Around 1474, Da Vinci actually became a master on his own, and he began painting. Even though he had been declared a master, he still used to collaborate with Verrocchio. In fact, earlier than that, a painting that Verrocchio had done of the baptism of Christ, Verrocchio asked Da Vinci if he would actually paint an angel in the painting, and it would be a second angel because Verrocchio painted the first one. Amazingly, Da Vinci's angel is far superior to that of his masters. It's amazing what skill that young man had. So at this point, I'm putting in the features. And this is part of a veil. Everybody asks about the line on the Mona Lisa's forehead. It's a very transparent veil that covers her whole head. I'm not even going to put that in because that would have been applied very much at the last part of the painting. And there's landscape in here, and we're going to talk about landscape later. So the amazing thing is that when you do that, you get an image on the panel. As you can see, there's a lot of dust on there. And Da Vinci probably would have taken a cloth and taken it down just a little bit so that there was just a very soft impression on the panel. S. So how can we employ this in our artwork? Well, I'm going to have an exercise that I'd like you to try at home. I'd like you to take a painting and go ahead and paint it in your natural way. I would recommend like an animal, perhaps a cat or a dog, anything that you have an opportunity to imbue that life into it. Just like this swan right here, I've gone ahead and painted it in advance. But you can come and take and look for that S shape that you can get and emphasize it even more than you might normally do it. And you will find that you will give your paintings a life and a vitality that they didn't have before. So avoid the straight lines in this exercise, instead focusing on serpentine effect. I'd like to share with you now about the painter named Johann Vermeer. He lived between 1632 and 1675, and his paintings are rather unique. They're interior scenes of the life of people in Holland at that time. He lived in the Delft. And have you ever feel that your drawing skills are not what they could be? If that's the case, then you really need to listen to this segment, because we're going to talk about what Vermeer did to help with his drawings. Now, with this flat tone and soft modeling, which I want to demonstrate here on this painting, he would paint things in a very flat way. He would blend them only slightly. He would keep edges very soft, but it was done methodically. Nowadays, we have in America, in fact, it's all over the world, something called paint by number. It's where you have actually little tones of paint standing side by side in order to form an image. Now, I'm not going to tell you that Vermeer painted by numbers. That's not the secret technique that I'm sharing here. But his paint was often not as blended as other artists would do. He would just kind of block it in from dark to light and have the actual tones sitting side by side. And this made for a very natural look, but it was helped by some of the images that Vermeer would utilize by using a camera. Now, since he lived in the 1600s, what's he doing with a camera? Film had not even been invented yet. But even long before Vermeer was born, scientists of the day were creating something called the lens. And they were experimenting with different uses for the lens. So actually, there was an instrument called a camera obscura. And on my palette here, I have some cadmium yellow light. I've got some orange. I've got some green, phthalo green, and French ultramarine blue. And it's that blue and yellow that was the inspiration for Van Gogh. You look at his paintings, they almost totally use those colors over and over and over again. I've got some white and some burnt umber as well. So I'm taking a flat brush here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to chisel it when I load the brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of yellow, and I'm putting yellow on one side of the brush. On the other side of the brush, I'm going to put another color. Let's put some of this green on the other side. Because the brush is chiseled, it's going to make a linear stroke. So what you get are two colors that are side by side every time you make a stroke. I think you can see the yellow and the green running parallel to one another there. Let me take another brush. I'm going to take some yellow, and I'm going to take some orange. Yellow on one side, orange on the other. And as you can see, the paint is very thickly applied on there. His paintings have a lot of impasto, or thick brush strokes on them.